We should call out hypocrisy when we see it. And for a party that associates itself with Christianity, to say that it is okay, to suggest that God would smile on the division of families at the hands of federal agents, that God would condone putting children in cages, has lost all claim to ever use religious language again.
Vice President,
This coming from a self-proclaimed Christian who is living in an openly homosexual relationship. And he wants to talk about religious hypocrisy when the Bible is extremely clear about homosexuality. And you claim Christianity, and then you want to point the finger at Christians over some half-truths. And I'll get into that, but I just want to point out his rank hypocrisy. I can't even believe he had the nerve to say that, to mention Christianity with what he's doing. But let's get into what he said about God smiling down on the situation, about kids in cages or what's happening at the border. Now, this is a bit of fuzzy logic, and I don't know if he knows it or not, but there's a lot of situations I'm sure God would not smile down upon. I mean, you think about, what if there's a bank robber and there's a gunfight with the cops and bank robber gets killed? Is God smiling down on that situation? Probably not, because God loves everybody. He loves the bank robber. He doesn't want that person to rob the bank or get killed. He wanted something much greater for him and for everybody else around. But does that mean that the cop should not have shot the bank robber because God is not smiling down on the situation? That's not the right question, whether God is happy with the overall situation. The right question is, what should we do? What is the moral thing to do in the situation? To figure that out, you have to think about all aspects of the situation. You don't just look at one aspect, blow it way out of proportion, and say, we got to do something about this. I would like to turn the question around on Mr. Buttigieg to say, Kate Steinle was murdered, and we have 1,000 extra Americans murdered a year at the hands of illegal aliens. Is God smiling down on that situation, sir? But it's not just 1,000 extra people a year killed at the hands of illegal aliens. It's 100,000 people a year now are overdosing on drugs, and most of those drugs are coming from Mexico. Drugs trafficked from Mexico, and most of those people die are young people. So you have families that are losing their sons and daughters to drugs, trafficked from Mexico, heroin and fentanyl, and all kinds of things. And they're overdosing. We have a big epidemic. It's more people die a year from that than car accidents, than murder. And it's because our border is so porous and it's not secure. So if you want to talk about, is God smiling down on something? Why don't you think about that? The millions of families that are losing their sons and daughters. Do you think God's smiling down on that, Mr. Buttigieg?
We got to talk about one other thing, because the Republican Party likes to cloak itself in the language of religion. Now, our party doesn't talk about that as much, largely for a very good reason, which was we are committed to the separation of church and state.
No, you are not. You are constantly enforcing your religious beliefs on people. Teaching evolution in schools. That's your religious belief. You don't call it a religion because there's no God, but that's your belief, and that's your loophole to say we can enforce our religion on people because it's not really a religion because we don't believe in God. But you have a godless religion. It's secular humanism. You're teaching evolution in schools. You're teaching trans stuff. You're teaching homosexual stuff that goes against the Bible, that goes in favor of secular humanist beliefs. You don't believe in separation of church and state. You believe in separation of Christianity from having any influence.
And we stand for people of any religion and people of no religion.
Democrat Party is not standing up for Christians. We had a baker who didn't want to bake a cake for a gay wedding, and Democrats roundly were condemning this man who didn't want to participate in a gay wedding. And many bakeries or similar businesses have been fined or prosecuted, run out of business. I don't see the Democrat Party standing up for them. Democrat Party wants to boycott Chick-fil-A because Chick-fil-A has beliefs about homosexual marriage. That's not standing up for religious people. Democrat Party wants to force people to fund abortion. That's not standing up for religious people.